Welcome to eYe Education. I'm Ed Lecius. We are continuing our series of interviewing the candidates running for the National Board of Education in the November 2nd election. And joining us now is Lynn Heureux. Lynn, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Lecius.
Ed's fine.
Ed, you got it.
Thank you. Well, who is Lynn Heureux? For those viewers who don't know you.
Sure. I was born in Lewiston, Maine. I moved to the Boston area in 1992. I started an undergrad degree at Northeastern University. I didn't finish it. It was a huge regret of mine for many, many years. I came to realize the importance of education when I was sort of not forced out of my job, but I was in the print industry, and the companies that I used to work for started outsourcing to companies in India and China for printing and the services that I offered. The work became less and less. So I returned to college. I went to SNHU and finished my first bachelor's degree, graduated at 40. It was a huge deal for me because like I said, it had always been a regret that I didn't finish my first bachelor's. And from there, I moved into the nursing program, but there were a lot of prerequisites that I had to complete beforehand. So all said and done, I was in school for about 10 years, finishing 2 degrees. I had 2 young children at home. Those kids are a freshman and a junior at Nashua High School South right now. And I've been married to my husband, Don, for almost 20 years, 19 years now. And he's the reason I moved to Nashua. So when I left Boston, I kept moving north, north, north. I went from Stoneham to Lowell, and when I met him, I finally moved to Nashua. So I've been here since 1999. So
you're a nurse right now, and very challenging times in that profession.
Yes, very, very busy.
You work in the ICU and also the emergency room.
I do. I'm full-time in the ICU, and I am part-time in the ER. I flipped. I was full-time in the emergency department for a few years, and in March they had a greater need in the ICU, so they asked me to move there. I did, and I'm very happy that I did. I'm learning a ton.
So why the Board of Education? What prompted you to seek this office?
Well, I have 2 kids in the district, like I said. I was working approximately 50 hours, sometimes 60 hours through the pandemic. It was challenging for me to assist my kids with their homework. They were older at the time. My boy was in 8th grade, my girl was in 10th grade. They experienced challenges through this protracted learning period. My daughter suffered a lot, not only through her academics, but through her mental health. My son fared a little bit better. I thought that the kids needed to return to school sooner, and I became involved at that point. I couldn't understand why Nashua hadn't returned to school when lots of other communities around the area had. And as I grew more and more involved, I saw the challenges we were facing, and I thought maybe I could help, maybe I could make a difference. Oh my goodness. I don't think the board works, well, they seem to work well together right now, but I think that there are a few people on the outs that don't really have a say. I feel like they're not really listening to parents. Even today, we're back in school, and that's great, and things seem to be going well. I've been doing parent-teacher conferences today. My kids are happy to be back in school. I think most kids are. But I definitely think there's some challenges. I think there's some disciplinary issues. I think there's some staffing issues. Certainly staffing issues. That's across the board through every sector here in the U.S. And I think that the parents feel like they don't have a voice. And I don't think that there's a lot of outreach by the Board of Education in terms of reaching out to parents. I feel some parents definitely feel ignored.
Another issue we'll be facing the new board will be the hiring of a permanent superintendent.
Yes.
Given what has transpired up to this point, do you feel that may hurt the quality of candidate that might apply here in Nashua?
I feel like it could. I feel like whoever chooses to accept a position here in the district has a lot of challenges, is facing a lot of challenges, certainly. But I do feel like the right candidate can come in make those changes and be effective. I feel like there's two ways to look at it. The school district could do an external search. They paid for an external search. They paid an organization to help them find a candidate. That didn't really work out. Part of me feels like we should be searching from within the school district, someone who's already familiar with the challenges and is ready to accept them, someone who's already invested in the community, has lived in our community and is willing to stay, isn't going to be gone in 2 years, but certainly there are going to be challenges, yes.
What would you like to see in the new superintendent?
Well, I've been speaking to a Board of Education member, an ex-member. She was on the board for 8 years. Several years ago. She's a great lady, and she tells me that she used to be able to go into the schools, talk to the children, talk to the teachers, see what the needs in the district were. She would actually work with the children one-to-one in a classroom. So she got in, she got her hands dirty, she knew exactly what was going on. During the last superintendent's position, not the current one we have, but the one before, I believe that a change was made where it was made formalized that the Board of Education was only to report to the superintendent and vice versa. So that is to say, a teacher can't go to the Board of Education with concerns. A teacher has to go up the administrative channels, who then reports to the Board of Education, and maybe something will get done, maybe not. I feel like it's okay to take input from the teachers. They have the pulse. They have their pulse on what's going on. That would be like someone asking me what I need to change in the emergency department, but going to the president of the company who isn't really ever working on the floor. And so I'd like to see that change. I think that we need input from parents. We need input from teachers, and I'd like to see some red tape cut.
Another issue. Redistricting.
Yes.
And right up front, I'll let you know I'm on that redistricting committee.
Okay.
We've just begun our work. It's an enviable task no matter what. Generally, what would you like to see? How would you like to see this play out and come to the board for approval? What would you like to see it look like?
I'd like to see equity. First of all, I would like to see more input, not just the Board of Education, but other city planning districts, parent involvement, and go from there.
The civility at board meetings is another topic and issue. What would Lynn bring to help address the civility issue to the school board if elected?
Well, one of the things that I like to think of myself as is a good listener. I have to be. I listen to patients all day long. I listen to my kids all day long. But I feel like right now the Board of Education, they have a set of goals that they're reaching towards, but they're not really taking input from parents. In fact, they're actively shutting parents down. I think that you need to listen to all voices, and I think you need to make the best reasonable decision based on those voices.
If elected and serve, what's the one thing you would like to be remembered for when you decide to move on that made a difference in the Nashua School District?
I would like to be remembered for creating a board with transparency and a board with accountability.
Finally, would you like to say anything to our viewers here today as to why they should vote for you?
Yeah, I would just like to say, please get out and vote on November 2nd. There's lots of candidates in the field. I'm only one of them, but I will work hard for you.
Lynn Heureux, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Ed.
Good luck.
Thanks.
And thanks for running.
Thank you very much.
You've been watching a special edition of eYe on Education featuring the candidates in the November 2nd election for the National Board of Education. I'm Ed Lecius. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.